Hi, 11. Welcome to Reading the Bible. Yes, I put on hair today. Today we are reading Genesis chapter 20, chapters 20 through 22. Let me get my lips right for these names in the Bible. Let me get my lips right. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? I am Reverend Valerie Love. If we have never met yet, welcome. I am the author of 26 books on practical spirituality, writing 27 plus right now, and also a global retreat leader to incredible destinations all around the world with incredible people, and divine midwife of soul destiny. Let's get into Genesis chapter 20, shall we? Welcome to this series. Why are we reading the Bible? We're reading the Bible because, let's go to Bible Gateway. We're reading the Bible because I have come to find out that the Bible, through my own diligent study and love for the Bible, wanting to know what it really is, I have come to the realization that the Bible's not from God, the Bible's not about God, the Bible is not a holy book, the Bible's not a spiritual book, the Bible is not a religious book. The Bible is humanity's library, a group of writings written very long ago by who knows who, God knows who. We don't know who wrote the Bible. And it tells stories of our ancient origins, Anunnaki stories, stories of visitors here. They could still be here. It is stated in many of the older documents that we found that they left around 2000 BC. Where did they go? We don't know. Underground, in the water, back up to the sky? We don't know where they went. They left around 2000 BC, and that would explain the Bronze Age collapse. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Let us go to Genesis chapter 20. Screen share. Let me get my throat right. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Genesis chapter 20. Abraham traveled from there toward the land of the south and lived between Kadesh and Shur. He lived as a foreigner in Gerar. Abraham said about Sarah his wife, she is my sister. Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream of the night and said to him, behold, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. Now Abimelech had not come near her. He said, Lord, will you kill even a righteous nation? Didn't he tell me she is my sister? Even she herself said, he is my brother. I have done this in the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands. God said to him in the dream, yes, I know that in the integrity of your heart you have done this, and I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore, I didn't allow you to touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. If you don't restore her, know for sure that you will die, you and all who are yours. Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ear. The men were very scared. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? How have I sinned against you that you have brought on me and my kingdom a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done. Abimelech said to Abraham, what did you see that you have done this thing? Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place. They will kill me for my wife's sake. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. When God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, this is your kindness which you shall show to me. Everywhere that we go, say of me, he is my brother. Abimelech took sheep and cattle, male servants and female servants, and gave them to Abraham and restored Sarah his wife to him. Abimelech said, "Behold, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you." To Sarah he said, "Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, it is for you a covering of the eyes to all that are with you. In front of you, of all, you are vindicated." Abraham prayed to God. So God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants, and they bore children. For Yahweh had closed up tight all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Genesis chapter 21. Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did to Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called his son who was born to him, whom Sarah born to him, Isaac. Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears will laugh with me." She said, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned. Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, "Cast out this servant and her son, for the son of this servant will not be heir with my son Isaac." The thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. God said to Abraham, "Don't let it be grievous in your sight because of the boy and because of your servant. In all that Sarah says to you, listen to her voice, for your offspring will be named through Isaac. I will also make a nation of the son of the servant because he is your child." Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a container of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and gave her the child and sent her away. She departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. The water in the container was spent, and she put the child under one of the shrubs. She went and sat down opposite him, a good way off, about to bow shot away, about a bow shot away. For she said, "Don't let me see the death of the child." She sat opposite him and lifted up her voice and wept. God heard the voice of the boy. The angel of God called to Hagar out of the sky and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Don't be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Get up, lift up the boy, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went, filled the container with water, and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He lived in the wilderness, and as he grew up, he became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. His mother got a wife for him out of the land of Egypt. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the captain of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, "God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son. But according to the kindness that I have done to you, you shall do to me, and to the land in which you have lived as a foreigner." Abraham said, "I will swear." Abraham complained to Abimelech because of a water well, which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. Abimelech said, I don't know who has done these things. You didn't tell me, and I didn't hear of it until today. Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech. Those two made a covenant. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, "What do these 7 ewe lambs, which you have set by themselves, mean?" He said, "You shall take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, that it may be a witness to me that I have dug this well." Therefore, therefore he called that place Beersheba, because they both swore an oath there. So they made a covenant at Beersheba. Abimelech rose up with Phicol, the captain of his army, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting God. Abraham lived as a foreigner in the land of the Philistines many days. Footnotes. Genesis 21, chapter 21, verse 3. The footnote for Isaac means he laughs. That is the meaning of Isaac's name. Footnote to Genesis chapter 21, verse 31. Beersheba can mean well of the oath or well of 7. That is a translation for the word Beersheba. Genesis chapter 22. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." He said, "Here I am." He said, "Now take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go into the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will tell you of." Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son. He split the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place far off. Abraham said to the young men, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there. We will worship and come back to you." Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. He took in his hand, the fire and the knife. They both went together. Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, "My father?" He said, "Here I am, my son." He said, "Here is the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" Abraham said, "God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." So they both went together. They came to the place which God had told him of. Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order, bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar on the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to kill his son. Yahweh's angel called to him out of the sky and said, "Abraham, Abraham." He said, "Here I am." He said, "Don't lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked and saw that behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh will provide, as it is said to this day, on Yahweh's mountain it will be provided. Yahweh's angel called to Abraham a second time out of the sky and said, "I have sworn by myself, says Yahweh, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I will bless you greatly, and I will multiply your offspring greatly like the stars of the heavens and like the sand which is on the seashore. Your offspring will possess the gate of his enemies. All the nations of the earth will be blessed by your offspring, because you have obeyed my voice." So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. Abraham lived at Beersheba. After these things, Abraham was told, "Behold, Milcah, she also has borne children to your brother Nahor." Uz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Hesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jitleph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. These eight Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Rumah, also bore Teba, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Footnote to Genesis 22:14, God has provided, or Yahweh Jireh, or Yahweh seeing. So you hear people talk in church about Jehovah Jireh. That is the origin of that terminology. A lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about here. If you came here for the reading of the Bible, there you have it. Genesis chapter 20, 21, and 22. Now let's get into the commentary. Can we first of all say how weird the Bible is? Because why do we have so much incest? Now we find out that Abraham really is Sarah's half brother. The Bible loves incest. It loves incest. We just read yesterday how Lot is Lot's two daughters. Their mother's dead, and they say, "Let's go sleep with our dad, so we can have kids, because our dad doesn't have any sons to carry on the name." And today we find out that Abraham and Sarah are really half brother. That's weird. Did they ever tell you that in church? I don't remember that part in church. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The key thing to understand about the overall context of this text is that this text is based on an old Anunnaki story. We must always remember that. Isn't it though? It's gross. I've always had a problem with Abraham getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. In today's times, we look at a person like that as crazy. That is absolutely right, Carla. It was never God. That was never God. We were told horrific lies about the nature of the infinite source if we think God, who is love, the God that Christ spoke of, would ever ask you to kill your own child. Now, before we get to the sacrifice part, can we talk about the Hagar part? Hagar goes out into the wilderness because Sarah says, "Get her and her son out of here." But remember, according to the earlier verses, Hagar's son, Ishmael, he would have been 30 years old. How do we know that? Because it said in the chapters that we read previously that Ishmael was born when Abraham was 68. Now, Abraham is 100. Now, if I do my math right, that's 32 years. That means Ishmael is supposed to be 32. Where are we getting that he's a boy again? Once again, the Bible has to weave together these stories, and they're incoherent and contradict each other. So if Hagar was in the wilderness with a man that was 32 years old, and he's not a boy, he's not a boy. The other inconsistency in the story, many inconsistencies in the story. If we just read it, we understand this is not a coherent story. The lore of the story changes, the timing of the story changes, the age of the characters changes, and it changes willy-nilly. If this were submitted to a modern day fantasy editor, they would have to correct all of the errors in it. But because we think this came from God, we must explain away why this thing has so many inconsistencies and errors and contradictions in it. Because we keep wanting to defend this book like this is God's book. You can't talk about God's book. Well, it's not God's book, and yet we can talk about it. And we can read it for ourselves and see what it says. Next, how did all these ideas about God shutting up the wombs of the women, God never made anyone barren. These stories are painting a horrific picture of the infinite source, whom is pure bliss, pure love, pure energy, pure light, pure perfection. These stories make us attempt to make us believe in a horrific God that just kills people indiscriminately, brings floods, tells you to kill your kid, sacrifice your kid. This doesn't make sense if we are, isn't this mind blowing? Isn't it mind blowing? Oh my goodness. Okay, Carla, LTS. Latter day Saints told us Abraham and Sarah were siblings. Supposedly, the earth still needed to be populated. and question, at the time of Abraham and Sarah, there were supposed to be nations and nations and nations and nations, all these people on the planet. So, why in the world do you still have to marry your half sister? And I want to know who made up this story that everywhere Sarah goes, she gets kidnapped. What? The Pharaoh kidnapped her the other day. Now you somewhere else, and she gets kidnapped. Another king kidnaps her. Come on, who keeps kidnapping this lady? I don't know. Two kidnappings. It seems a bit strange to me. It's suspect. You got kidnapped 2 times by 2 different kings. That is suspect. And he was like, oh, well, here I go again. I get kidnapped. I guess they're going to take me to the palace. And she's in the palace, and the man is like, oh, who's that? Yeah, that's my brother. What is she just calmly hanging around the palace, getting bathed in milk and fanned by the ostrich feathers until it's time to sleep with the king that night? Like, what the heck is going on here? They're just feeding her grapes. And she's like, hey, yeah, I got kidnapped by the Pharaoh the other day. And now King Abimelech just kidnapped me again. I'm just so beautiful. Everywhere I go, I get kidnapped. Who made this story up? This cracks me up. Pardon me, but I just had to have a little chuckle that this lady keeps getting Abraham, put your wife somewhere in a cave. Like, so why you keep wandering around? Why you wandering around to all these places? And every time you go somewhere, your wife gets kidnapped because she's so beautiful. Stop it. Sit your butt down somewhere in the middle of the wilderness and keep your wife to yourself. The Bible cracks me up, I'm telling you. Oh my God, I can't take it. The Bible cracks me the hell up. And here's the next question. Here's the next question I had. Who was there listening to all this stuff and was writing it down? Who was writing down this whole story? Everywhere Abraham went, they didn't have pen and paper. They didn't have writing instruments. Who was writing all this stuff down? So Abraham went here, and then he said this, and then God said this. This stuff was written. This is a made up story. No one was standing around writing the thing down. Who's writing this? And then Abraham went. Abraham left the 2 guys over there, and then he took his son. Who's the narrator in this story? That's what I want to know. Who is the omnipotent voice narrator? Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's go back to Hagar. So she's out in the wilderness, but then the next minute she's marrying off this boy to somebody that comes from Egypt. She went back to her kin, right? To get him a husband. I mean, get him a wife of the Egyptians. This whole dating of Isaac. How old is this boy? Is he a boy? Is he a 32-year-old man? What is it? Because it seems to go back and forth. And this speaks to a couple of different things. One, that speaks to the fact that there were different versions of this story. And when they did the redaction somewhere around the 4th century BCE, they had to put all these stories together. The scribes had all these different stories. They had to put these stories together. And therefore you have inconsistencies in the Bible, because in one place we read the 2 flood narratives. There's 2 flood narratives. In one, it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. And another one is 150 days. We just read it. We read it. There's 2 different stories. In one story, he takes his the animals. In another story, he takes seeds. It's two different stories. And how do the Bible scholars shed light on this for us? The Bible scholars tell us that when the writers, those who put together the Hebrew Bible, the writings of the Hebrew Bible, in the fourth century, there was a great, somewhere around third, fourth century, when they were in Babylonian captivity, there was a great redaction of the Bible. And when they returned to their temple, then supposedly, they found the book of Deuteronomy. Supposedly. It's more like if they find something, that means they just created it. They had some scribes make up a whole thing. Anyway, the scribes had to pull together. The scribes had a hard job. So give it to the scribes because their candlelight is dark. They probably going blind. Soot from all the candles, and they're dipping in the ink and writing on a goat skin. Hey, kill another goat. We need some more goat skin around here. They're writing on goat skins, dried out goat skins. They're writing on papyrus. They're writing on a lot of different things, maybe cuneiform tablets. You got to hand it to the scribes because being a scribe in the ancient world, you're all up the writings, writing for hours and hours and hours. That's the only way people got any writings. You didn't have any printing presses. You didn't have any books. The only way you got something to read is if a scribe wrote it for you. And that was too much trouble and too much work. You had to be trained to be a scribe, a special training to be a scribe. And most of the time, it was only at the palace or someplace like that. The regular people, they didn't read, they didn't have books, they didn't have access to words like you do on paper. They didn't have that. Therefore, they would not have known other than what they were told. These were stories that were spoken. It was an oral tradition for centuries. They told these stories, they passed the stories on, just like we pass on stories of the family throughout the generations. It's the same thing. And when you pass on a story orally, we do know that the story is going to grow. We do know that the story is going to morph. We do know that the story is going to take on different characteristics that maybe the story didn't have originally. We do understand that all of that happens in the oral retelling of stories until they started to actually write these stories between the 6th century and the 10th century BCE, between 600 and 1100 BCE, they started to actually write the stories after they have been told orally for God, who knows how long, probably for thousands of years. Then, when they began to write them, they wrote the stories. Many of these are old Sumerian stories, the old Anunnaki stories, and that repurposed. And then after the captivity, being in Babylon for so long, they had all the Babylonian stories from Babylon. They redacted it. Who redacted it? The Yahwehs. Please look up the Yahwehs. Who were the Yahwehs? This is what Bible scholars call them. The holy roller Yahweh people, the Yahweh cult. It's Yahweh, it's Yahweh, it's Yahweh, it's Yahweh, it's Yahweh. Jeremiah was one of these people. It's Yahweh. Stop worshiping Baal. Stop worshiping El. Worship Yahweh. Stop worshiping Shemosh. There was many, many, many gods in the Bible. And we will read that the people were worshiping many gods. Some were worshiping Inanna, Ishtar. In Babylon, Inanna's name was Ishtar. Inanna was one of the Anunnaki, Enlil's granddaughter. She was Ishtar in Babylon. She was Ashtoreth in the land of Canaan. And she's Isis in Egypt. And she comes to us. Oh, she's still here. Mother Mary, she's still here. The goddess never left. For all those people that say, oh, the patriarchy erased the goddess. No, you didn't. When you got a billion people around the world saying a Hail Mary every single day, 1.5 billion Catholics around the world worship, engage in goddess worship every single day. Say 10 Hail Marys. Hail Mary, Mother of Grace. Those are goddess worshipers. Isn't that the truth? Yahweh was a raging narcissistic lunatic. Precisely. And it's not God. 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 We have so much stripping away to do because we thought Jehovah Jireh was God. I did. We thought El Elyon was God. I did. We thought Jehovah Sidkenu was God. I did. We thought Jehovah Rapha was God. I did. We thought Elohim was God. I did. On and on and on. These are all different Anunnaki beings. And the Yahweh character is a composite. The Yahweh character has strands, is mostly Enlil. And he's got a little Nertus world in there too, the war one, the warring one that blasted the bombs on Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's also got a little Anu sky father in there. Anu is the great sky father. Now, I want you to notice something about the wording of the World English Bible. It doesn't say heaven, it says the sky. It says, yeah, Abraham, the Malak, the messenger, is speaking to Abraham from the sky. It didn't say from heaven. These are sky beings. It keeps saying the sky. Later on, they said, oh, it's got to be heaven because they got to be talking about God and these have to be angels. So let's make it heaven. It's not heaven, it's the sky where planes go. Planes go into the sky, they don't go to heaven. We've been on many planes. Planes don't go to heaven, they go to the sky, right? They go to the sky. Yahweh is real. Oh, poor thing. Poor thing. Everyone, please pray for her. That's so sad. Jesus is real. Okay, I can get with that. Yahweh is real. Oh, poor thing. Wow, we have a lot of work to do on this planet. But I love you. I love you, and I'm so thankful that you came here. And my prayer for you is that your eyes will be opened and you will do a modicum, the tiniest bit of research about Yahweh and see that this is an ancient Canaanite deity who was promoted to being God of the universe. I mean, we have AI now. It's called read a book. So if you want to come here in this conversation, I get to roast you. It's called read a book, and it's called reading is fundamental. That's what it's called. Yeah, read a book. And you know what's interesting? This is the absolute consensus of a lot of worshipers around the world. They think Yahweh is real. They think Yahweh, Jehovah, is the actual God of the universe. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so we'll just boot them out. We'll do a little housekeeping there and we'll just boot that person out. So really, when you oh, okay, add to block list. Okay, so we just block them, get them out of here. Yet, this is not an accident that that person came in here and said that, or a bot, or whomever they are, because that is actually what people are thinking around the world. That is actually what people are thinking, that Yahweh is real. Now let's go further into the child sacrifice of Abraham. And this is so bizarre. Why out of the clear blue sky, literally out of the sky, why is the sky god asking Abraham to sacrifice his son? It doesn't make sense. Why does this loving God who Jesus talked about is asking you to kill your son when he just gave you this son? You asked for this son. Sarah was barren. You had drama over the sons. And now you have the son and he says, go kill him. And you say, okay. Now, here's where the story doesn't make sense. Didn't Abraham just a couple of days ago have a conversation with the very same Yahweh that said he was negotiating for the people in Sodom and Gomorrah? But well, what if you don't destroy everyone? Don't kill everyone. What if you find 50 there? Okay, I won't kill them for 50. What about 40? What about 40? Okay, 40. Okay, what about 30? What about 30 people? If 30 people are okay. Yeah, okay, I won't kill them for 30. 20? Okay, 20. 10? Abraham, you pushing it. 10 is it. Okay, 10. You will not destroy. He's bargaining and negotiating with the so called God over strangers in a city, but he won't even have a conversation about his cherished son. He won't even ask a question. Say, hey, kill your son. Okay, help me. Help me understand. Help me make sense of this. You just negotiated for total strangers. But when it comes time to kill your son, no negotiation, not a word, just a knife. Who does that? What parent would get up and with no question and guess what? Guess how twisted we are in Christianity? We're so twisted that he is held up as a hero of faith. We laud that as a grand gesture. He was going to kill his son. That's horrific. There's nothing laudable about that. Why are we holding that? Hold the phone. All the kids in church were like, oh, damn. Mom, Dad, did you get a message from God about me? It might be time to run away from home. That's why sometimes when you read things, you just have to breathe. You just have to breathe. Let me just breathe. Because this is a made up, incoherent story. Okay. In the Hindu scriptures, in the Hindu scripture, they speak about the vehicles that the gods would fly around on in the sky. My thinking is that was the same thing Anunnaki traveled around on. You're absolutely correct. Let me take you into the book. I want to show you something in the book. This will absolutely, this is shocking. I want to show you something in the book. That's why Christians are so wicked, because they have these wicked ideas in their mind. It's a horrible idea. Okay, let me find this. Oh my goodness, you will love. Okay. Look at this. I want to show you. I put this in the book. The real God is not in the Bible. Hold on, let's get you the link on Amazon. If you're a member on the YouTube channel, if you're a member in the Valerie Love YouTube channel, if you're a member on the Christian Witches YouTube channel, you have the ebook. You have the ebook. Go into the members area and you will see the ebook. You have it as a gift. If you do not have it and you're not a member, you'd like to buy it, you can buy the ebook on Amazon.com. Let me drop the link here for you. Paste. There's the link. That is a paid link. Thank you for shopping my affiliate link with Amazon as an Amazon influencer. The disclosure is that I earn commissions on that link when you shop my link. Thank you for shopping my Amazon store. Next, I'm going to take you to Kickstarter. And for all of you who are ready for the paperback and the hardcover, I love you so much. I love you so much for that. Let's copy. And as you can see, there are many followers here of the paperback, and the hardcover will be released soon only on Kickstarter. So you want to go ahead and get your account on Kickstarter to be notified of when the book comes out in paperback, hardcover, signed copies. You're going to love it. OMG. Look how many words this book is. This book is 114,000 words. Do you see this book? This book is probably about 600 pages or so. Let's talk about, I'm so happy you brought up the Hindu people. Let's talk about all the stories, and I probably don't have even all of them because there are 500 flood stories around the world. 500. The Dogon people of Mali had they're legendary for their advanced astronomical information. I put them first because my people hail from Mali and Ghana and Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Scotland. That's my lineage. The Dogon people of Mali had knowledge of Sirius B as a dwarf star orbiting Sirius A in a 50-year cycle. Now, Sirius B is not visible to the naked eye. And the Dogon did not have telescopes. How did the Dogon have advanced astronomical information? You're in the middle of Mali, you're looking up at the sky. It has not been discovered yet. You don't have a telescope. How do you know? And guess what they said? They said the star people visited Earth long ago and they called them the Nomos. The Nomos are beings from the Sirius star system who taught humanity agriculture, how to civilize themselves, and detailed information about the cosmos and its cycles, and they still have the information. But how do you have this information, Dogon? And what did the anthropologists say? We don't have an answer to that. Zulu, the Zulu nation has an ancient star race that brought human beings wisdom and knowledge of both physical and spiritual worlds. The Maasai of Kenya, whom I visited in 2009, they say that they are direct descendants of beings from the Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. Greek mythology, Indian texts, including the Vedas, Upanishads, the Ramayana, and the Mahabharata, all describe gods and goddesses and their flying machines. The Rig Veda speaks of flying chariots, just like the book of Enoch and Elijah and Ezekiel in our Bible. The Ramayana describes the Vimana. The Vimana is a vehicle that could travel through air and transport people across great distances. The Popol Vuh. Now, notice the geographical location of these people. These are not next door neighbors. You have India has this information. Then you skip all the way over to the eastern part of Africa. They have this information. Then you skip all the way over to Mesoamerica across the Great Ocean, which supposedly people were not crossing the Great Ocean. They have this information because the Mayan and the Aztec stories, the Mayan stories come from the Popol Vuh, and they describe Star Wars or clashes among the gods that affected the humans. The Mesoamerican Aztec story states that the gods, one of them sacrificed themselves to bring light into the world. And remember that they sacrificed one of the gods in order to coalesce with human genome. The Lakota of North America. They also speak of star people who descended from the sky long ago to help humanity with moral and societal concerns. The Hopi of North America recount stories of the Kachina. Who are the Kachina? Beings who descended to Earth to teach humanity about practical matters such as farming and agriculture. How are all these people around the world getting the same stories? Wait a minute, wait a minute. Then I asked AI, are there more? Are there more global stories of sky beings, star teachers, non human civilizers, everything? But I don't want them to already talk about, I don't want AI to already give me the stuff that I already know about the Zulu and the Dogon and all of these people, Greek mythology, all these people, all different places. I want different ones. Ancient Egypt, ancient China, Japan, Hebrew and Judaic traditions, of course, Celtic, Norse, Persia, Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl as well, Andean, which are the Inca in Peru, where I have also been able to visit Peru. I have an Incan tattoo on my arm. Viracocha, the Australian Aboriginal people, the Dreamtime people, all the way down in Australia, in the outback with the kangaroos. No one from Dogon or the Zulu people are not talking to the Aboriginal Dreamtime people, the Dreamtime tribes. The Dreamtime tribes that are deep in the outback of Australia are not talking to the Hopi Nation or the Lakota Nation in North America, or the Hindu people in the Near East or East Asia. We got the African, we have Polynesian. Okay, the sky travelers from the sky travelers, they came here. The sky travelers came here. They, some stories say they came from the Pleiades, some say they came from Sirius. What we do know is that Sirius was very important to them, at Sirius A and Sirius B, and The Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters, figures very heavily into this whole scenario and the astronomical alignment. So let's look at all the points of evidence that we have here. We have multiple cultures around the world singing the same story. We have 500 flood stories around the world. Then we also have all these ancient civilizations, all of these legendary stories that pass through their genealogies of ancient star people who came here to teach humanity agriculture, mining, metallurgy, chemistry, geology, law, rituals, worship, sacrifice, kings and queens, lineage of kings and queens. So if one group of people said it, hmm, if two groups of people said it, hmm, if three groups of people said it, now that gets interesting. If almost every culture around the world says it, we have to pay attention to that. We have to pay attention to that. So that's one point of reference that I use. I looked at all these different stories around the world, not all of them, because there are probably a lot of them I don't even know about. I looked at many of them, and the Dogon, it was unmistakable. It was unmistakable. The Dogon people of Mali, they're a smoking gun because there's no way they could have had that information. There is no way they could have had information about Sirius B, the dwarf star, before it was discovered by astronomers. There's no way they could have had that information. Had someone not told them, they didn't have books, they didn't have telescopes, and modern science had not discovered it yet. When the Dogon people told anthropologists about this, anthropologists went through and the Dogon told them all about cosmology and where their forebears came from. And the anthropologists were like, oh, that's an interesting story. You know, anthropologists keep it historical, keep it factual, keep it scientific. We don't want any mythology in here. We're just trying to get to the facts and the truth. What if that was the facts and the truth? Okay, so it's throughout Africa, it's throughout India, it's throughout Australia, it's throughout Europe, it's throughout Egypt, it's throughout North America, it's throughout South America. But all these people are wrong. All these people's stories says sky people came here, star people came here. Our Bible says it. The book of Enoch says it, that they eliminated from our Bible. They were like, it's too weird. We can't put this in our holy book because they were picking and choosing what they wanted to put in here. So our book says it, that they were in the sky. All these are sky beings. They're talking to you from the sky. They're coming into your dreams. They had technology to be able to come into your dreams. And that is in one of the apocryphal books where they came into the dreams of Noah and they came into the dreams of Enoch. And that's when they told Enoch through a dream, we're coming to get you, pack up your shed because we're going to take you. The whole story is written down in the book of Enoch. We're going to take you and tell your sons and distribute your inheritance because you won't be back. You're going to come with us. And the Bible says the same thing. Enoch was here and then he was gone. God took him. That's what we're going to say. That's the story. Yeah, that's the story. God took him. How? Can you tell me what the mechanism was by which God just made a person just disappear? God don't do that. The real God. Oh, aliens abduct people all the time. That's common knowledge. Some of you here may have had the experience, and some of you here may have the experience of them communicating with you in the dreams and communicating with you interdimensionally because these beings were able to communicate with you through visions and through dreams. And because you have the ability to also use your infinite powers, such as telepathy, you operate on multiple dimensions. You're a multi-dimensional being. So because you are a multi-dimensional being, you can be communicated with, you can be contacted with on other dimensions of awareness. We're already doing this. NASA, and they say the CIA and all of them, they already have people behind closed doors that can bend spoons with their minds, teleport things. CIA has been using remote viewers for the longest time. Okay, go in the enemy, behind enemy lines and look in their war office and look in their files and pull out this file and read it to us. And they'll have different remote viewers in different rooms and they'll come back and they'll give the same information. Super gifted at remote viewing. You could probably do it. Not probably. Everyone has supernatural powers that are developed in meditation and in silence, but they would rather give you that little device. Mine is over there in another room. They would rather give you a device to keep you scrambled in the brain, dopamine hitting your receptors every few seconds, making you even more addicted to that thing, touching it hundreds of times a day. Can't put it down to be still, go in nature, meditate, and amp up your spidey powers, your supernatural powers, and become God and be supernatural. And then remote view the moon for yourself, and look on the far side of the moon, and look and find these structures that are on the far side of the moon. Whole civilization on the other side of the moon. Why? Because when the moon, you know, goes around us, it doesn't rotate. The moon does not rotate. We're rotating, so they tell us, right? The moon don't rotate. It just keeps showing you the same side the whole time. No one's ever seen what's back here except the remote viewers. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So I want to end with this. Clearly, we have seen this is an incoherent story. Clearly, we have seen that humans are writing these stories. Clearly, we have seen that this is not the infinite source, the love of the universe, asking you to kill your son. Clearly, we are seeing that these are human skirmishes that people are having over land and water and resources, fighting over things just like we're doing now, fighting over land. Clearly, we have seen that the beings who are the rulers of humanity, these Anunnaki beings, the Elohim, they're not, some of them are not kind. They're not kind. And some of them are. They're just like humans because they're not gods. They're actual beings that came from somewhere. Now we got to pin down where they came from. Some say they came from Nibiru. That's Zechariah Sitchin. I don't align with that because I don't know anything about Nibiru, and I don't know if we have any scientific evidence of Nibiru. And they could have come from Sirius. They could have come from the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. Where exactly they came from is still a mystery. And where they went is also a mystery. They left 4,000 years ago. At 2000 BCE, around the time of the Bronze Age collapse, when everything went to shit. Look it up. It's called the Bronze Age collapse. That's what historians call it. That's when they left. Now, is Ereshkigal, who is Inanna's sister, still in the quote unquote underworld, which is just inner earth? We don't know. We never went down there. Is Inky still in the Apsu, the deep waters off of the coast of Africa? We don't know. We never went down there. Or off the coast of Americas. We don't know where these underground layers could be, and we do not know underground, under the ocean, because we've never been down there. We can't go down deep into the ocean. We've gone farther. We've discovered more off planet looking up at the stars than we have, and planets, than we have on this planet. We don't even know what's down in the ocean. We can't go down there. Not with what we've discovered, what we've created thus far. So we don't know what's down there. Wouldn't it be safe to say, we don't know? Let's find out. Money in the vortex! Let me get my bell. Let me get my bell. Woo-hoo! Money in the vortex! I so love y'all for being in this conversation with this witch on YouTube, this Christian witch on YouTube. Let me tell you, isn't that the truth? Woo child, wait till we hit Exodus. Oh my goodness, if the Bible didn't prove to you that it is the most bizarre book known to humanity, in the book of Genesis, the first few chapters of Genesis were just a total shit show. Exodus is, but wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. And Revelations is a total shrooms trip or an LSD trip or something. And they were on a lot of shrooms and plant medicine in the Bible. And weed, they just found weed all over the temples. They had found so much hashish, aka uh, well, we call it weed, marijuana, Mary Jane, hemp, all the different names that they call different kinds of it. That plant family found it all over temples in Egypt. Oh, people just sacrificing. They got the hemp all over. These people were total plant medicine people. All these people in these ancient cultures, totally into plant medicine, shrooms, all those things that they have outlawed today. They were doing all of them. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.